PSA is once again at the center of controversy with the announcement of a new monthly grading special at $49.99 per card and a 10-day turnaround. But here's the kicker. Your card doesn't come back to you. It's immediately listed for auction on eBay through PSA's own account. Think of it as a one-way ticket for your card. You send it to PSA, they send it to eBay, and the only thing you get back is a nice paycheck. Or, seller's remorse. I'm Pokemon Classics, and I invite you to join me for a discussion on the growing concerns with grading services here in 2025. But first, let's roll the intro. For anyone new here, PSA is a grading giant in the collectibles world. They grade sports cards, Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, you name it. But when it comes to Pokemon cards, PSA is the industry standard. Their market share is by far the most substantial and the most comprehensive, and as a result, so is the scrutiny they face. PSA has been partnering with eBay for a while now. Back on April 10th, 2024, eBay and Collectors, that's PSA's parent company, entered into a partnership in which PSA would acquire the eBay Vault and eBay would acquire Golden Auctions. And then both companies would also integrate their services with one another, leaning into the buy, grade, sell model and creating concerns over monopolization and even potential conflicts of interest within this part of the Pokemon space. However, PSA's newest collector special takes this integration even further by enabling PSA to grade and sell cards independently without any third-party intervention. Now, eligible cards for this service are those valued under $1,500, and you'll still pay $49.99 to have those cards graded, which is $25 off the regular submission price on PSA's website. And this also includes a 10-day turnaround and no additional shipping cost, since your cards will immediately go live on eBay auction, starting at just 99 cents. But remember, once you submit these cards for grading, there's no intervening. No, oops, I changed my mind, or actually, I want to keep that card. I think we can all appreciate some of the many potential customer service related issues this could likely create, not to mention the potential perception issues. Now, this isn't groundbreaking new territory for grading companies. CGC actually did this first, teaming up with Fanatics to grade cards for as little as $9 each, with an expedited turnaround time of about 2 weeks in my experience. The big difference though is that CGC gives you options. You can vault the cards, you can auction the cards, or you can simply keep them. PSA's version is way more expensive and it offers far less flexibility. And as the Sharks would say,
and for that reason, I'm out.
And it's not just about the pricing or the logistics. The real issue here is the broader conflict of interest and the absence of meaningful oversight. In fact, I think this can be addressed in really 3 ways. First is the perception of bias. When the same company that's grading your cards is also the one that's selling them, there's a built-in motive to grade higher. Obviously, a PSA 10 sells for more than a PSA 8 does, so there's a financial incentive that exists for PSA to potentially overgrade cards that are using this service, so they can earn a higher commission price on those auctions. And now, to be clear, I highly doubt that this is the case. PSA is an enormous company with little to gain and really everything to lose. But even if nothing shady does happen, the perception alone is enough to stir up drama. Second is the lack of transparency and control. Once you send your cards in, that's it. There's no canceling or changing your mind. Perhaps this doesn't bother everyone, but personally, I like to have some oversight over what happens to my cards at each step along the process, even the ones that I intend on selling. What if your card grades significantly below what you expected? Wouldn't you want to physically inspect the card to try to determine what the issue is? Or maybe even keep it as a binder copy rather than selling it at a loss? There are dozens of different scenarios where someone might change their mind, but under PSA's new submission tier, that's not an option. Finally is the potential impact this could have on regular PSA customers. We all know PSA's turnaround times have been historically bad, so the concern is that this new service level will create another VIP lane at the expense of regular submissions. Again, I can't say definitively what impact, if any, this will have, but perception does matter with grading companies. And considering that PSA has a history for backlogs and delays, it's not a great look to offer other services that could only compound those delays. For example, PSA just launched their comic and magazine grading service after years of research and development, and even though the timing may have been completely coincidental with the recent surge in TCG volume, it rightfully has people questioning PSA's priorities right now. Now, to be fair, I do want to acknowledge the potential positives here. First, this service is voluntary. It's just one of the many options, so nobody is forcing PSA users into paying these prices or gambling on potential auction outcomes. For newer sellers or for people that don't want the hassle of listing and shipping and packaging, it's a quick and easy way to sell their cards, especially since PSA already has all the infrastructure in place to make a smooth transition. They have the vault, the eBay store, and now a streamlined submission process. They've proven they can move cards fast and with high visibility, and that is a benefit. There's also the paradoxical nature of criticism towards PSA. Some criticize PSA for population control or intentionally withholding 10s in order to keep the populations down. Meanwhile, others criticize PSA for overgrading cards and giving out too many PSA 10s, especially since the PSA Vault and eBay started their selling partnership, creating a financial incentive. But these two criticisms simply aren't compatible. It's either one or the other, or it's neither. I've done videos on this topic in the past reviewing years and years worth of PSA population data, and in my opinion, I don't see compelling evidence for either. PSA seems to be just as consistently inconsistent as they've ever been, with some degree of anecdotal subjectivity, and certainly misgraded anomalies to be expected, especially given the millions of cards they grade each year. But that's just my opinion, though. Finally, I think it's worth acknowledging that PSA has taken positive steps to improve their infrastructure. The PSA Vault and eBay store have been extremely successful, creating new efficiencies for sellers, particularly newer sellers who lack the confidence or experience to sell on their own. PSA has also invested into making their online submission process significantly faster and more user-friendly. We've gone from having to handwrite details on a paper form to being able to scan cards directly with your phone and submit electronically. PSA even has upgraded their database with high-resolution scans of cards, and they've significantly improved the quality of their slabs and offered a monthly magazine dedicated to TCG content. Sometimes these magazines even come with limited edition promo cards, which can help subsidize the overall cost of a PSA membership in the first place. Again, I'm not saying that these improvements excuse any of PSA's shortcomings, but I do think that any criticism that's offered should be contextualized. So what's my verdict? Personally, I think this is a smart business idea, but with really poor optics. Again, this model isn't new to PSA. CGC and Fanatics have actually laid the groundwork for a grading selling pipeline already, but in my opinion, the way PSA's is structured opens them up to more criticism and customer service related issues than it's worth. If turnaround times for regular customers slow down even more, or if even a few clearly misgraded cards hit eBay, the backlash could be significant, and both of those are very real possibilities. And even if this new service isn't the cause of slower turnarounds or a contributing factor to a few cards being misgraded, which is inevitable given the numbers, what really matters is how people perceive it. And from my experience, people are often quick to assume the worst and even quicker to vocalize their displeasure. In my opinion, PSA would be wise to avoid this entirely. They already have the vault where customers can elect to have their cards stored or later elect to have them listed onto eBay or returned to them. And I think that's the appropriate middle ground here. Having submitters make the decision after cards are graded maintains some professional distance between grading and consigning. And I think that's an important distinction for grading companies to maintain. As I mentioned earlier, PSA is already the dominant force in grading and have little to gain and really everything to lose. And the more hats a company wears, grader, seller, auction house, consigner, shipper, etc., the more people wonder if those hats are really just disguises, concealing ulterior motives. But hey, that's just my take. What are your thoughts? Is PSA giving sellers a great new tool to explore, or are they blurring the lines with a conflict of interest? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for more Pokemon-related content. I'm Pokemon Classics, reminding you all that the classics never go out of style. Till next time, everyone, stay well, and don't forget to have fun. That's what this is all about. Bye, everybody.